we're going to look at simplifying fractions. Simplifying fractions, writing them in their simplest form, is really related to equivalent fractions. What we're going to be doing is writing a fraction in its simplest form, meaning that the numbers are the smallest possible numbers that will express that fraction, and that simplification has to equal in value the original fraction. For example, if we have 2 fourths, 2 fourths, and we could represent this with the pi, fourths, the pi is divided into 4 parts, and we have selected 2 of those parts. And we could see right there that 2 fourths is half of that pi, just as if the pi had been divided into 2 parts. So 2 fourths is equal to 1/2. When we did the lesson on equivalent fractions, we took 1/2 and converted it into another fraction which was equivalent, like 2 fourths. Simplifying fractions is just the reverse of what we did in that lesson. Now, we don't have to draw pies in order to simplify fractions. We can do this mathematically. And here is how that's done. Let's say we have a fraction such as 4/6. What number will divide into both 4 and 6 evenly? And of course, you can see that 2 divides into both of them evenly. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, is there a number which will divide evenly into both 2 and 3? Well, the only number that divides evenly into both of them is 1. And so this is the simplest form, the smallest numbers that can express this fraction. It's equivalent to 4/6. Let's do another. 8/12. Well, what number will divide evenly into both of these? Well, 2 will divide evenly into both 8 and 12. 2 into 8, 2 into 12. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now we look at this fraction, 4 and 6. Is that in simplest form, or is there a number that divides evenly into both of these? Well, in fact, we can divide both of those again by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And so, just as in the previous example, it is now in simplest form. Perhaps you saw right off that instead of dividing by 2, I could have divided by 4. And actually, to convert a fraction or reduce a fraction into its simplest form, we want to divide by the largest common factor, the greatest common factor, sometimes called the GCF, greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor of 8 and 12 is 4. That's the largest number that divides evenly into both of them. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So our answer is 2/3. Now look, since I used the greatest common factor, I was able to do the whole problem in one step. Here it took 2 steps. 1, 2 steps in order to reach there. When we use the greatest common factor, we save time and we save steps. Which one is right? Is this wrong? No, we got the right answer. It just took us a little longer. Most people prefer to use the greatest common factor because it simplifies things. It means that we can work the problem a little more quickly. Now, there's another thing that we need to look at when we're talking about simplifying fractions, and that has to do with improper fractions. Let's say we have 7/5. What this means is that we have 2/5, 3/5, and a 4/5, and there's a 5th one, and a 6th one, and a 7/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7/5. Well, look at here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/5. 5/5 equals 1. And then we have here 2/5. So 7/5 is actually equal to 1 and 2/5. Now there's an easier way to do this rather than to draw all these out. For example, let's say I have 5/3. The easy way to do this is simply to divide the 3 into the 5. 3 goes into 5 one time, and we have 2 left over. We have 2/3 left over. We have 3/3, which is the 1, and 2/3 left over. 5 is the same thing as 3 plus 2. So what we have here is 3/3 and 2/3. 5/3 is 3/3 and 2/3. And we can show that simply by dividing the 3 into the 5, getting 1, and then we have 2 left over. Let's work another. 9/6. Divide the 6 into the 9, we get 1, and we have 3/6 left over. But we are not finished simplifying because look, this 3/6 right here. Both of these can be divided by 3. And so our final result is 1 and 1/2. 9/6 simplified is 1 and 1/2. So we can simplify fractions 2 ways. One way is if the numerator and the denominator have a common factor, they can be reduced. And the other way is if it's an improper fraction, it can be turned into a mixed number. Both of those ways we use for simplifying fractions. And simplifying fractions makes it easier for us to understand what the fraction means.